All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I Believe Now What News, where we talk about news from the Christian standpoint. If this is your first time here, that's exactly what we're about. If this is not your first time here and you've been enjoying this, I highly encourage you to like, share, and subscribe, as it really does help out in pushing this message. And today we got some news that came from the Christian Post that said Transformation Worship earns the #1 spot on Billboard's top gospel album charts. Now, the news really isn't so much about how Transformation Church got #1 on the gospel chart, but mainly why is this honestly so dangerous? And the reason why it's dangerous is because Transformation Worship, along with multiple other bands, Elevation Worship, Hillsong Worship, Bethel Music, Jesus Culture, these bands that come out from these churches, these are dangerous. The reason why is because they are bait. They are bait that is used to look like a fish, smell like a fish, swim like a fish. But as soon as you bite onto it, you are hooked and you are reeled. That's what happens to newer Christians and unbelievers. And then they get soaked into this church and into their bad theology. And I'm not really making that up. You can go ahead and look up statements from people such as Brian Houston of Hillsong Church, who has said repeatedly how Hillsong music is a gateway to get them into Hillsong. Bill Johnson also said the same thing about Bethel Music and Jesus Culture, which I believe comes from them, that their music was made to bring people into the church and spread more and more of their theology. And of course, they'd say that because they think that they're teaching something good, but in reality, they're teaching something bad. And it's very, very bad theology if you've ever kind of dug into those churches. And if you don't believe me, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit about what Transformation Church preaches. So, if you didn't know, Transformation Church is pastored by a man named Mike Todd. Mike Todd is known for his crazy and wild antics and illustration displays as a pastor. He's flooded his stage and floated in a boat. He received a haircut while preaching a sermon. He spat in a man's face, literally, to take a Bible verse out of context. Horrible things that honestly distract from the message of Christ. And he's also known for wearing, as you can see here, ridiculously expensive clothing. Here is him wearing a Gucci sweater that costs $1,950. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't have $1,950 to spare, let alone $1,950 to spare on a ridiculous looking name brand sweater. But with all that being said, that just kind of shows you what type of pastor Mike Todd is. He comes from the prosperity gospel, word of faith type movement. Their church is based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is kind of like the mecca for the word of faith and prosperity gospel movements out there. And if you're wondering, Tim, maybe you're being a little bit harsh, let's just go ahead and learn a little bit about his theology. So if you go to his church's webpage, what this is from, it's really dug in, like their statement of faith. It is really hard to find. You literally have to go to like their about us, then click on this word called concrete and scroll past some pictures. And yeah, then you get over to here. So if you read through it, for the most part, it seems very copy and paste, cut and dry, like many others. And then you get to this section. So it talks about the fivefold ministry. If you didn't know, this is a staple within the New Apostolic Reformation. They say the fivefold ministry positions of apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastors, and teachers are gifts given to each local church and the universal church. These gifts are for equipping of believers to spread the gospel to Christ, and we believe both men and women are sovereignly chosen by God for these ministry positions. And that is 100% correct. That is absolutely correct. The only bad thing is when you do it, they take the term apostles and prophets in a much different way than what the Bible has. So apostles in the Bible, obviously, if you go to the book of Acts, we know the 12 apostles, we know Paul, they walked in authority, they walked in power that was given to them by God to go ahead and start spreading the gospel. People today like to claim themselves to be apostles, but they don't have that power, they don't have that authority, and nothing really displays the fact otherwise. Now, apostles today, in our day's terms, because apostles essentially means sent ones, it's best to what's the equate? There you go. That's a better word for it. It's best to equate apostles today to missionaries. That would be the best term because missionaries are sent ones, missionaries are church planners. That's the best way to describe modern day actual apostles today. I like to say little a apostles, not big A apostles. But sadly, people who use this fivefold ministry, the New Apostolic Reformation type stuff, they try to use the term as apostle as a control method. They'll say that your church is not a true church unless you are being governed by an apostle. You can go back to different teachings by Bill Johnson and C. Peter Wagner, who coined the term NAR, things of that nature. That's what they believe. And they also believe you're not operating properly as a church unless you have a prophet. Now, I am what I would like to call a biblical continuationist, meaning I believe that the spiritual gifts, all the spiritual gifts, have continued on only in the fact, though, that they are done in the biblical way. That being said, personally, I've never once seen a prophecy, a prophet, an actual prophet of God come forth and speak something and it be, true. I've seen a lot of these YouTube prophets and TikTok prophets, and they say something, and usually it's somewhat false or very broad and misleading and all these other things. I just personally haven't seen it. I do believe miracles can happen, and I believe miracles happen from God. And I do believe that miracles can happen if God chooses to use somebody to make that miracle happen. Once again, I've just never seen it actually happen. I'm more of the line of the belief that those signs and wonders gifts from the Bible in the book of Acts from the apostles that we see, people being raised to dead, things of that nature, those gifts were used to pretty much light the forest ablaze. And once that forest was lit afire, that forest being the gospel, once the gospel was spreading, that fire was going out, you really don't need the match anymore. But that's not to say I've heard some crazy stories from people who I trust that are missionaries that have seen some crazy things. And that's why I kind of believe if we do see these signs and wonders gifts, it's the people who have never actually had the gospel presented to them. Especially here in the West, we have, churches around almost every single corner, especially if you live in the southern half of the United States. But there's not really an excuse for people living in America where you can just pull up unless you don't have a cell phone, where you can't just download a Bible app. There's still unreached people groups out there. All right, little side rant about that over. I appreciate you putting up with that. Another thing they believe in, what you see right here, and this goes back to Mike Todd's prosperity gospel roots, and it's the health and prosperity. He says, we believe that a part of Christ's work of salvation, meaning if you receive salvation, this is going to be guaranteed to you. It is the Father's will for believers to become whole, healthy, and successful in all areas of life. Well, tell that to the Christian who has 5 kids and is struggling to put food on the table. Tell that to the Christians over in North Korea that have to worship in caves every single Sunday in order to just hide out from their government. Tell that to the Christians over in China who have to put up false fronts in order to just worship God. Don't tell me that a Christian is going to be whole, healthy, and successful in all areas of life. This life on this earth has absolutely nothing to do when it comes to our eternal salvation. Our ultimate goal is for the worship of God, and we execute that worship here on this earth by spreading the gospel. There is nothing in the Bible that says that you are promised in this life on this earth that you will be whole, healthy, and wealthy and successful in all areas of life. In fact, you see a lot of the opposite. Look at the Apostle Paul. He was making tents on the side of the road in order to make money because he didn't want to take money from a church. So to say that if a part of Christ's work of salvation, as this says right here, it's the Father's will that believers become whole, healthy, and successful, and that you're making a Christian go look outside and say, well, I'm honestly struggling to put food on the table for my family. I have cancer, my wife is sick, my kid is sick, whatever the case may be. Obviously, I must be out of Christ's will. That's where this type of teaching leads. Our home isn't here. Our home is in heaven. That's where we get our true prosperity. And he goes on to say that their focus is on spiritual, mental and emotional, physical, and financial. It's all, once again, a part of the prosperity gospel garbage. And I've watched a bunch of his sermons before just to make sure that was never too out of line. Majority of Michael Todd's sermons are man-centered sermons focused on you, the person, not focused on God. And like I said, over the top stuff. He uses a lot of word of faith, a lot of repeated, a lot of claim it type stuff that you would see in prosperity gospel word of faith type theology. Now, going back to the actual article, which we were talking about after, once again, I appreciate y'all listening to my rant over here. Observation Station, thank you very much. I will continue to do that as long as God allows me to do. But let's go ahead and jump into the article. So it said Transformation Worship, a band birthed out of Transformation Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, led by megachurch pastor Michael Todd, has earned its second #1 Billboard Top Gospel Albums chart. The Transformation Worship released its first album, Overflow, blah, 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 blah. It kind of goes on through this. I'm not going to get too much into it. But basically, their new album's called Dominion, released on July 12th, and it's hitting up there and number one. Just look at some of the name of the songs right here. Like, so I went through and I actually looked at some of the lyrics of these songs because they don't have all the songs present, and I refuse to listen to the songs and get them streams, through Apple Music. But I'll pull up some of the lyrics just to show you. But I looked at one like this, like, here, look at my fruit. The entire song is saying, look, it's just repeating the line, look at my fruit, look at my fruit, look at my fruit over and over again. How selfish are you? How me-centered are you? Look at my fruit, look at my fruit. What they did in a lot of these songs, I noticed too, if you want to go through and read through the lyrics, basically they will put a lot of me-centered focus in their lyrics. They'll put a little line in there saying, "Hey, all glory to God," or something along those lines, and then they go right back to the me-centered focus. There's some songs that the lyrics are much more tamer than others and would pass honestly in most churches. But once again, this is the bait that Transformation Church uses, just like Hillsong, just like Bethel, just like Elevation, to get people going into their church. Oh, they have cool sounding music. Oh, they got cool sounding words, whatever the case. Let me go check out this church. Let me go watch their teaching. Let me attend the church. Let me go to a satellite church. And this is how they get people hooked into their bad theology. Even here, it says, according to the church's website, each track delivers, quote, a message of empowerment and resilience against any attempts to silence or diminish one's calling. How much more me focus can you get? You are called Transformation Worship. Who are you worshiping? It looks like you're worshiping yourself. A message of empowerment and resilience against any attempts to silence or diminish one's calling, one being you. How much more me focused can you get? But this is the world that the church is moving to, sadly. And when I say the church, I'm not talking about the true church of Jesus Christ. I am talking about the church as in the building, and how so many people are believing in these false theologies and going to these churches because they have cool music. Just look at what happened to Hillsong. Everybody was raving about Hillsong's music. Few people were talking about how bad their theology was. And look at what happened. Their founder, Brian Houston, had DUIs. He stumbled into a woman's hotel room drunk. That was not his wife. He got caught, I think, in an affair, not reporting his father's horrible deeds. So many horrible things about him. Then you go look at Carl Lentz and that whole picture. He was a pastor and he was cheating on his wife with another woman, and also multiple other allegations that were brought up against him. You saw where that theology led, but people liked the music so much, they seemed to look past all that. Now, once again, this is going on to be a rant. So I just want to show you some of the lyrics here in one of their songs. So this is the title track song. It's called Dominion. And sorry, there wasn't too many lyric websites yet out for it, I guess because it's so new. But here's the lyrics. Once again, notice how me focused they are. I got dominion. I got authority in the kingdom, got everything I need. Holy rebellion. What is holy rebellion? I mean, they're just using these key clutch words and key catchphrases to try to make things sound cool. It's like that Corey Asbury song, Reckless Love. There was nothing about God's love that is reckless. And you could sit there and try to defend that all day long. It's not the fact. But look at here. We got holy rebellion now going too. We're standing strong and free. Nothing can stop us. We got the victory. We, as in the people? No, Christ got the victory. Jesus paid it all. Then you go into the chorus. I got dominion. You do that times three. So lots of I got dominion. That's why we winning. Look how me focused these lyrics are. Look at the way that I walk. Repeat that 3 times. Look at the way that I walk. Look at the way that I walk. Why are you looking at me? Look at Christ. Shouldn't Psalms be focused on Christ? Why are they focused on the person? How is this transformation worship? This is worship of self. That's all this is. Wherever I go, and here's kind of what I told you before. So they make it 100% me focused. Then they throw a little bit in that is very passable in Christian lyrics. Wherever I go, you already know who's in control because you're the King of Kings, the Lion and the Lamb, the great I am. You hold the world in your hands, ruler of everything. And then they go right back to the I got dominion and I'm going to take up my space. Mine, me, I, over and over and over again. This is what these churches do. They take the focus off Christ and put the focus on you. And people, whatever happened to the great songs of old? We got songs like How Great Thou Art. Now look at the lyrics here and see how me focused this is. This was written back in 1886. Oh Lord, my God, when I am an awesome wonder, consider all the works that your hands, thy hands have made. I see the stars, I see the rolling thunder, the power throughout the universe displayed. This is all going to God. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great you are, God. You are. And it goes on and on and on throughout the entire psalm. How great God is. No praise to us. Zero. And you might go, well, Tim, dude, like there's just no more modern day cool worship songs. Oh, yes, there is. But people don't ever want to play it. Here's some lyrics from a band called City of Light, and it's called Yet Not I, but Christ Through Me. City of Light is a very great alternative if you're looking for great sounding modern worship music, but you want it with solid theology. City of Light is a great band for this. And they have multiple songs, but look at this. Look how not me focused this is. What a gift of grace is Jesus, my Redeemer. There is no more for heaven now to give. He is my joy, meaning heaven's given everything we need inside of Christ. He is my joy, my righteousness and freedom, my steadfast love, my deep and boundless peace. Yes, they're talking about themselves, but they're talking about how much Jesus is their peace, not that they have peace in and of themselves. It's all because of Jesus. To this I hold that my hope is only Jesus, for my life is wholly bound to his. Oh, how strange and divine I can sing that all is mine. But here's the key, yet not I, but through Christ in me. Beautiful, beautiful lyrics. That's, biblical. That's the Apostle Paul right there. Yet not I, but through Christ in me. We don't brag of ourselves. It goes on to say that though the night is dark, but I am not forsaken, for by my side, my Savior, he will stay. I labor on in weakness and rejoicing. You're not going to see that in elevation and transformation. That's too depressing. Acknowledging the fact that we are sinners in flesh who cannot please God apart from his son, Jesus Christ. I labor on in weakness and rejoicing, for in my need, his power is displayed. When we are weak, not when we are prosperous, when we are weak, he is strong. God shows his power through our weakness. To this I hold that my shepherd will defend me. Through the deepest valley, he will lead. Oh, the night has been won, and I shall overcome. Yet not I, but through Christ in me. And I'll kind of keep going on, through that if you want me to. It's just beautiful, beautiful psalm lyrics, and these are modern. These are recently written songs. People that, like I said, or bands, like I said, of City of Light, Sovereign Grace Music, Shane and Shane. You have so many great bands that write solid worship lyrics for a modern audience in a modern way, but nobody wants to play it. They'd rather listen to I got dominion, I got authority in the kingdom. Really? Because I think all the authority in the Great Commission belongs to Jesus in heaven and on earth. Period. We have no authority besides Christ living in us. Let's go ahead and take some comments right there. At least Linda Burgess says, "Yep, that's a fact." Probably referring to. I wish I remember what you were talking about over there, but it's sad, it's sad that so many people fall into this. Linda, absolutely. Observation Station put amazing how most of us are duped by their music vibe, and that's exactly it. That's why I put the thumbnail the way it is with the fishing hook, because the music is the hook to sink in either weak Christians or young Christians in their faith, or people who are straight up non-believers who just want a feel good gospel to tickle their itching ears. It's very, very sad. Observation Station also said they love that hymn, referring to how great thou art. I saw that come up. You also commented, "Be thou my vision." That is probably one of my favorite old hymns ever. I think that was written in like the 1600s too. These are beautiful psalms with beautiful lyrics. We can sing these today in church. I know even in my church, we mix it in. We'll sing a little bit of modern and then we'll sing some hymns. And it's beautiful. We do the way we do it. I'm not saying that everybody has to do it that way, but let's sing to the Lord some psalms that are tried, tested, and true. And yes, let's sing to him some new psalms as well. Let's just make sure the lyrics are biblically grounded, offering worship to God, not offering worship to ourselves. All right. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, y'all. I love y'all, and I hope you were encouraged by this message. And I will talk to y'all on the next one. Make sure your friends aren't listening to, I was going to say elevation, but them too, transformation.